They did it to themselves. Europeans were afraid to send peacekeeping troops to Ukraine. The chorus of small dogs barking at the elephant did not last long. Yesterday, the Western media reported that the next meeting of the Alliance of the Willing, quote unquote, ended in failure, and the head of European diplomacy, Callas, admitted that the attempt by the defense ministers of 30 European countries to choose the most courageous for a military confrontation with Russia and Ukraine came to nothing. It's recalled that the issue of sending a European military force to Ukraine under the guise of a peacekeeping mission has been circulating in the offices of Paris, London, and Brussels, Brussels being the head of the European Parliament, for some time. And as is often the case with high-profile attempts to put the brakes on Russia, quote-unquote, and send a message to Putin, the blessed plans very quickly became a funeral. According to recent leaks, behind those closed doors, Zelensky, Macron, and Starmer, that is, Ukraine, France, and Britain, discussed the entry of European troops before the signing of a peace agreement with Russia. The main topic of discussion was not the risk of Europe returning to the age of dinosaurs, but the size of the force. Zelensky asked for at least 200,000 European soldiers. Otherwise, it makes no sense, he says, while his allies were hesitant and haggling. To share the blame and make it seem less terrifying, the courageous conspirators gathered in Paris March 27, with the leaders of 30 countries present. The British Prime Minister presented a fancy scenario in which the troops of the coalition of the willing would march up to the Russian positions, the Russians would throw down their wooden Kalashnikovs and ask for asylum in the EU. All that remained was to vote on who would go first. It turned out that no one wanted to be first, and only 6 of the 30 countries agreed to participate even in some role. In fact, despite Zelensky saying that Ukraine does not need peacekeepers but combat units that will participate in the battles, even the bravest ones proposed to station themselves as far away from Russian forces as possible so as not to provoke or even completely in Poland. And while in fact it became clear that the Americans would not provide any guarantees of protection in the event of a clash between the peacekeepers and the Russian army, everyone ate their sandwiches and left. The peacekeepers' peace did not last long. On April 10, this time in Brussels, at NATO headquarters, the defense ministers of the alliance gathered to decide how to fight Russia without Uncle Sam, but also without a single European soldier getting even a scratch. Some clever guy, probably an Estonian, suggested, let's send the troops after the peace agreement, so the Russians don't shoot us and we can come out as heroes. And the applause didn't stop. Finally, it was decided the troops would be sent in slowly and spread out like a thin layer so that the Russians would not notice them, and they would be confined to western Ukraine so that no damage would be done. However, the defense ministers, unlike the leaders, have at least seen a tank close up. So they agreed that even a nano mission without American help is too dangerous. What are 10,000 international soldiers doing 400 kilometers from the front line? They can't even protect themselves. A glimmer of hope was offered by Trump's special envoy in Ukraine, Kellogg, who suggested that perhaps the Europeans could simply sit quietly in the back somewhere, quote unquote, but Washington quickly put the brakes on it, and again everyone left disappointed. The signal from Washington is directly related to other signals, those exchanged between Putin and Trump through their representatives. Yesterday, without warning, the U.S. President's special envoy, Stephen Witkoff, arrived in St. Petersburg for a meeting with Vladimir Putin. The meeting was held behind closed doors and lasted more than 4 hours. It's noteworthy that Witkoff relayed the signals between Putin and Trump in real time, which shows the importance of the meeting. And according to fragmentary leaks, one of the messages to Trump stated that for an immediate cessation of hostilities in Ukraine, it's necessary to recognize Russia's sovereignty in the Lugansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson regions. That is, Russia's basic demands for an end of the conflict in Ukraine were discussed, which are not limited to recognition and may no longer even require it. In the past, many in the United States viewed the Russian demands as a negotiating ploy. That Trump said first we push hard, then we back off. Secretary Marco Rubio and CIA Director Ratcliffe had said that neither side will achieve all of its goals and that maximalist goals are not going to be achieved. But now they seem to have understood that Russia's demands are specific and non-negotiable. No threats, no sanctions, no increase in aid to Ukraine, and no peace plan is working anymore. And that's why Russian forces are advancing. They have already created a bridgehead for penetration in the Sumy region, while they are only 4 kilometers left to reach the borders of Donbass and enter the Dnipropetrovsk region. I can't even say that. The longer the partners delay in believing that Russia is not bluffing, the greater the likelihood that 2 more regions will be added to the demands. So it seems they're starting to understand. After Witkoff's departure, Washington announced that the Trump administration views the talks between Putin and Witkoff positively and sees them as another step towards ending the war in Ukraine. The head of the Russian Direct Investment Fund and special envoy of the president, Kirill Dmitriev, called the talks very productive. So we'll see what comes up. The process has begun for these peace talks. This is by Kirill Stelnikov. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.